Hi, welcome to the F1 Time Portal, a Formula One history podcast started by two excited Formula One fans. I'm your host, Rosa.
And I'm your Bohemian Rhapsody host, Luigi. And today we're taking you back to the final part of the 1975 season, part 6. Let's go. So we have an apology to make, or clarification, right? So earlier in these episodes of 75, I made reference to I'm your Fame host. And then we started talking about the Fame movie, which was probably released in the 80s. In actual fact, I was referring to the Fame song by David Bowie. And
yeah, that makes more sense.
It makes more sense. So I'm sure people would probably have emailed us or messaged us to clarify that the movie was not from 75. So Fame movie. And of course, Bohemian Rhapsody was released by Queen in 75. Second Queen song this season.
Very much loved song by him, Bo Rap, the Bo Rap song.
And a lot of people have done theses on a very technical, complicated song and all that sort of thing.
Is.
Yeah. One of the great songs in music history, up there with Stairway to Heaven by Led Zeppelin, I'd say. And what did you say, Delighted? Or was that the other one?
Excited. Yeah.
Well, who's going to win the championship?
Well, that's why I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Lauda's in front. Lauda's got a lead of what's
margin,
his lead? Yeah,
23 points. 9,
that's right.
18. Yeah, it's nearly 3 race win lead with only 3 races to go. 3 races to go. Someone has to win all the races, and that someone has to be Carlos Reutemann, who's perennially finishing on the podium this season, it seems. Yeah.
Yes, I'm excited.
Okay, so up to the Austrian Grand Prix, 12th race of the season at the Österreich Ring. So this is Lauda's home race. August 17, 29 laps. Not many laps, I think, because of the weather, which is very wet. So I suspect this race is not going to be a long race. So this GP had a very large attendance, as one would expect, because Lauda had a chance to clinching the World Championship at his home track, and a championship that I will say I think he should have won back in 74, if not for a lack of reliability.
Yeah. So the opening practice session was warm and sunny, and Lauda was again setting the early pace, lapping inside the 1974 pole time after only 15 minutes on track.
Isn't that fast? 15 minutes, he beats last year's pole time. Probably by him. Lauda did not disappoint the home crowd, and by the end of the practice session, he had secured pole and his 7th of the season, with Hunt second, Fittipaldi third, and it's weird to say this, his chief rival, Reutemann, who's been sort of quiet a little, in only 11th.
Oh, okay. We should also mention here, Louis, that sadly during the warm-up lap on Sunday morning, Mark Donoghue's March had a tyre failure and crashed at the flat-out right-hander after the pits. The car went through the catch fencing and advertising billboards that were lining the track and hit 2 marshals. Donoghue was pulled from the wreckage apparently unhurt, apart from complaining of head pains. However, on his way to the hospital for a checkup, he lost consciousness. He underwent surgery for a brain hemorrhage but died 2 days later. And one of the marshals also died as a result of the accident. So we don't talk a lot about Mark Donoghue, but
no,
it is important, I think, that we recognise the tragedy that occurred at this race.
Yeah, and we'll just quickly recap a couple of quick things about his career. But if we knew more details about the marshals, we'd mention them too, of course, but we don't have that information. But he was called Captain Nice. He was an American race car driver. Yeah. And he didn't have a hugely long Formula One career, as in, let me just see, how many races did he do? 16. Yeah, and he got 1 podium. But he had more success in other formats. Like he was in Le Mans where he finished 4th. But more importantly, he won the IndyCar in 72.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. Any things you want to call out about his career, Rosa?
No, I think you've hit the highlights there. He was a very successful motorsport driver. Like he raced in a lot of different formats. So yeah, we recognise him in this race. Yep.
Okay. So on race day, as the grid formed up, there were reports of rain at the far side of the track. Always lovely when that happens, when part of the track is wet. Thunderclouds were forming and the cars were returned to the pits to change to wet tyres. We haven't seen so much wet racing for a long time, have we? This feels like a unique thing to 75.
Yes. Lauda immediately jumped into the lead from the race start, followed by Hunt in the Hesketh and then Depailler, who had shot up from the fourth row in a great start for the Tyrrell driver.
Behind them, it was impossible to see the order because the visibility was next to zero, with just huge plumes of spray being thrown up by the cars. And don't forget, they had those big, massive rear tyres that were just water lifters.
Yes. But as they went past the pits, the order was made clear. So Lauda was first, Hunt was second, Depailler third, Stuck were fourth in the March, then Fittipaldi in the McLaren, Brambilla in the March, Scheckter, Regazzoni and Reutemann.
And Brambilla in that March, it's a pretty cool looking car, by the way. Like if you can safely take a look at it. So look up 1975 F1 March. He was on a charge and on lap 6, he went up to third place after gaining on Hunt. So I was going to throw it to you, Rosa, because I don't think I'd do very well at this. Can you describe what that very 70s March car looks like?
Oh, again, it looks amazing. Like I agree with you. The cars on the grid in this era just look amazing. It's like this bright orange. It's got this curved wing at the front, which looks very like
semicircle almost.
Remember when they had the tea tray? It's like they've put when the tea tray was up on top of the.
I know they've made it to the bottom.
Wing. Now they've pushed it down to the bottom. It's the same shape, but it's down the bottom. And again, it's got this massive air intake tube sitting behind the driver. But it's a pretty cool looking car. The rear wing is like this black flat tea tray.
Yeah.
Pretty big rear wing.
Yeah, they've moved the tea tray to the back.
Yeah, exactly. But it is a pretty cool looking car if you can have a look at it. And orange.
I'll call it a table almost, a table rather than a tea tray.
That's right. Yeah. So impressively by lap 12, Hunt and Brambilla had caught up to Lauda's Ferrari and his lead was now only 1 second.
Yeah, it's not often that Lauda's struggling because he's really been on form. So it seems that Lauda's Ferrari really was handling poorly in the conditions. So pretty much Hunt and Brambilla both overtook him on lap 15. And then only 4 laps later, when coming up to a back marker, Brambilla made a move on both the leading Hunt and the back marker. And in one swift move, he passed both to take the lead. So pretty cool.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. Again, that March out of nowhere and Brambilla, I mean, he's been threatening a little bit, but good move. From there, Brambilla built up a lead over Hunt, with Hunt taking a whole 2 laps to overtake that back marker and somehow was involved in him losing the lead. So
let's give Brambilla the credit for reading it.
Yeah, good overtake. I mean? Yeah, good overtake.
Rather than that guy holding back, the back marker, I mean. So the weather was causing lots of spins and accidents with visibility dangerously low still. Lafitte, not Latifi, voluntarily retiring himself from the race because he felt the conditions were too bad to keep racing. Now, let's keep in mind, Lafitte is in the very early stage of his career. So big call by him. He's not an Emerson Fittipaldi, I'm going home.
No.
Two-time defending, two-time champion, you know what I mean? So
that's
big move
right.
by Lafitte.
It is. But it actually caused the organisers to stop the race after 29 laps.
Yeah. So as Brambilla took the flag with his arms waving around in ecstasy, he then crashed into the barriers. This is after he took the win. Everyone calmed down. So yeah, so Brambilla.
Did you see that? Did you see that on the footage, Louis?
Oh, I should watch it. I have seen it a long time ago.
It is hilarious. You literally see his arms and then the car just veer into the barriers and spin back out onto the track. Like he recovers, but it's hilarious.
That's very funny. So like you said, he broke his nose, but he could still complete the cool down lap. So it wasn't damaged beyond repair. And so in the words of Mike Lang, so that the March team, so he managed to bring the car back so the March team could celebrate with him, which is lovely, right? So awesome story. And crashing after the win is so funny.
It is very funny. Behind the scenes, there was confusion though, because some teams were preparing for a restart. But as the race had already been stopped with the checkered flag, it couldn't happen. The race results would stand, but with only half points awarded. again, like how Muss won earlier this year.
So, and Brambilla is not a young fellow.
No.
He was 37. Okay, that's young, but for Formula One, that's the other way.
That's right.
He'd now won his first and only Grand Prix. That's our fourth? Yeah,
Well, he's the third.
First win.
Yeah, the third to win his only. First and only.
Which is unique.
Yeah.
This might be a record. How many seasons had the most first and only race wins?
Yes.
I reckon it's going to be 75. I don't know if there'd be too many more that do this.
No.
It'd be in the top 5, I reckon. Hunt finished second and Price third, and the championship leader had to be content with 6th, and I don't think that was enough for him to win the championship at his home race.
Well, I don't think so.
Have I given that away?
But like Reutemann, Fittipaldi didn't feature in the points. So Lauda's 6th position actually allowed him to expand his lead to 17.5 points. So I think the thing is, if Lauda scores any points at all at the Italian Grand Prix, he could claim the championship in that race. So he didn't claim it here. He needed more.
9 points for the win, so 18 points is available, and he's leading by 17.5. If I was him, I'd just chill pill. I'd take a weekend off like Fittipaldi.
I don't think that's going to happen somehow. But anyway, I don't think these racers know how to do a chill pill. So Lauda's in the lead, 51.5. Reutemann second on 34. Fittipaldi third on 33. Hunt fourth on 28. And Ferrari taking out the constructors' lead on 54.5. Brabham's on 51 and McLaren's on 41.
Okay. So we're up to the Italian Grand Prix, race 13. At Monza, September 7, 52 laps, and the weather was overcast but dry. So the Canadian race was originally scheduled to be the penultimate race of 75, but was cancelled due to a small row between the Formula One Constructors Association and Mosport Park about payments. So Italy is now the second to last round. And Rosa, was a small row your words or that of Mike Lang?
I would not use small row. That's a very British kind of like a row. We don't use that in Australia much. No, it was Mike Lang. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
So, small clarification. Well, we know Lauda needed only half a point to be the 1975 world champion. This means that Ferrari team could win their first championship in 11 years on home ground. Now, I think it's 11 years since they won their first championship on home ground, not their first championship.
No, not their first. Their first since then.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
so because the last championship they won was Surtees.
Surtees.
But that was it. That was in Mexico. 64? So I just mean their first championship since then, because that was 64 and this is 75. And it's no spoiler. He's 17.5 points up. He's probably going to win it. So let's just So we're not spoiling anything.
That is exciting that they could win it on their home ground.
Yeah,
that's exciting. I think someone else has done it, but I can't remember who it was now, but someone else did it as well. They won it on home ground.
Yeah. Okay. Or home team ground.
Yes, home team ground.
The last race.
Yes.
Yeah. So practice started in warm and sunny conditions, and no one was surprised to see Lauda pretty much setting the pace, along with Regazzoni, but the extent of their dominance at the Monza track was staggering.
After beating his 1974 pole time of 1 minute 33.16 seconds, Lauda went on to shatter the 1 minute 33 time barrier with a scorching lap of 1 minute 32.94 seconds.
And that just shows how tight it was. That's not even very much, but it was seen as a big barrier because that shows how tough to do these times were on this track. But he eventually did improve the time even more, and he secured pole, as I think most people expected, 1 minute 32.24.
Regazzoni also went under 1 minute 33 with a time of 1 minute 32.75 to line up second. Fittipaldi was third with 1 minute 33.08 and Scheckter fourth.
Then a severe thunderstorm developed overnight, so that race day was wet, and it was obviously the theme of 75. So the 30-minute warm-up session took place in the rain with a lot of the track literally underwater, and it even looked like the race would need to be postponed. And for those that have been at an F1 race in the rain, let's also pause and consider the poor spectators because they're standing in the rain most likely.
Fortunately, the rain stopped around lunchtime, and with water being pumped off the track, and the race was given the driver go-ahead after Lauda and Fittipaldi inspected the condition.
Yeah.
There you go.
At the rate, so they were like the leaders, I guess. I wonder why they didn't send Graham. It would have been Graham Hill otherwise. You know, just flagging, when they had those big issues at Spain, it was Graham Hill that was like the primary representative, but he's probably lost that status now. So at the start of the race, they again chose to skip the first chicane, which I think they did last year as well.
They did, yes, they did.
So when the race started, Regazzoni actually took the lead from Lauda at Curva Grande.
There were some minor scuffles as a couple of slow cars impeded the others getting through the first lap. Likely some caution in the midfield justified, because to finish first you need to finish, Luigi.
That's right. Yes, yeah, that old nugget.
That old chestnut.
Yeah, the second lap was even more chaos as all the drivers now went through that chicane. After Regazzoni and Lauda safely made their way through, Scheckter was now up in third. He overshot the chicane and took to the escape road. Now, this was worth watching. This was mayhem. Mass bent his front suspension on the curbing, and after Reutemann, Fittipaldi and Hunt went through, Peterson was rammed from behind just as Bryce in the hill car, arrived stopping sideways on the track to avoid the Peterson accident.
Cars appeared to go everywhere, strewn across the track and across the entry to the chicane, many going down the escape road and getting stuck down there as well.
It looked like mayhem. They were in all different directions. Eventually, this is the funny part. I love the wording here. Eventually, Scheckter led them all out of the escape road. I think they had to go one at a time. Do you know what I mean?
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
After Bryce sorted himself out, they all got through the chicane. However, Andretti and Peterson had to retire with damage from the incident, as did Mass, Bryce and Stommelen with mechanical issues. So there were already only 19 cars left after the second lap.
Meanwhile, having avoided all the drama, Lauda and Regazzoni had built a handy lead of 6 seconds over third place Reutemann at the end of the second lap. Then came close by Fittipaldi, Hunt, Depailler and Pache.
And lap 16, Fittipaldi made his way past Reutemann to take third place and set about closing the 10-second gap to Lauda. So this is Reutemann. Oh, no, it's Fittipaldi. This is Fittipaldi trying to recover some pride.
Lauda.
Pride.
Yeah.
He can't win the championship, of course.
No. After charging for 10 laps, Fittipaldi, driving his heart out, again, that's a Mike Lang word, had caught up to Lauda, who by now had fallen back from his teammate Regazzoni. So on lap 46 of 52, Fittipaldi snatched second place from Lauda, much to the disappointment of the Italian Tifosi.
Lauda's uncharacteristic slower pace was explained later as he was suffering from a rear shock absorber failure, which he knew was more than enough to win him the world championship. So he was probably just happy to secure the points and seal the deal, I guess.
He was happy to go slower, knowing that he just had to finish in the points to take out the championship. So Regazzoni took the flag on home Ferrari soil. Yeah, nearly his own soil. I think he's Swiss, I think.
But born near the border, yeah.
Near the border. 16 seconds ahead of Fittipaldi in second. The last Ferrari win here was in 1970, and Regazzoni was the winner there too.
Yeah, interesting. So with Regazzoni and Lauda scoring 13 points between them, Ferrari also secured the manufacturer's title, which was not completely secured up to this point.
No.
Their first since 1964, while Ferrari won the Drivers' Championship for the first time since 61 with, Wolfgang won it in 61, but Surtees won it in 64, not at Monza. So they just meant
Wolfgang
winning the track. Yeah, in
at
Monza.
the home track. Yeah, in Monza. I think, Wolfgang did it in 61.
And that was not a happy championship either, because that came at the cost of Phil. It came at the cost of Wolfgang von Trips, and Phil Hill won the championship, not Wolfgang von Trips.
Yeah, that's right.
I think we just talked about how he was one that passed away, and we got confused with the wording.
Yes, we did. Yes. Okay, so Niki Lauda takes out the championship with 55.5 points ahead of Fittipaldi on 39 points. So that's quite comprehensive, really.
Yeah, very much so.
Reutemann 37, James Hunt on 30, and Ferrari win the Constructors on 63.5. Brabham second on 54, and McLaren third on 47.
You see Brabham in second, and if you were a driver, like, oh, which team should I join in 76? You wouldn't really be, for some reason, I would pick McLaren over the Brabham.
Yeah, but that's because you know. That's because you know what happens.
But I haven't seen Brabham really look like a top team. They've just been reliable. That's all I'm saying.
You hate that reliable is like.
Yeah, but Ferrari's fast and reliable. Ferrari's fast and reliable.
Ferrari is not reliable at all. They're fast, but
they've had a few Regazzoni fails, that's for sure.
Yeah. All right.
We're up to the last race of the season, the United States Grand Prix, race 14, Watkins Glen, October 5, 59 laps, and the weather is cool and dry. So we arrive here with Ferrari having already taken 8 poles, 5 wins, and the Drivers' and Constructors' Championship. But Ferrari had never won the US Grand Prix. And this is partly explained by the number of times I remember Ferrari refusing to even fly there for the Grand Prix. So they self-limited themselves, but maybe they can do it this year because they bothered turning up. Remember I used to say Enzo Ferrari doesn't want to sell Ferraris in the US. He doesn't need the money. So now he's needing the money, I think.
Yes. And this is another fascinating fact here, Louis. No driver had ever won the American race in the year that he claimed the title up to this year.
That's a very big claim.
That's massive, isn't it?
Yeah. So is that foreshadowing? Are you warning us about that record being broken?
Oh, maybe. But it's an interesting stat because I do remember the USGP being the decider for lots of championships. So to not have the winner of the championship win here seems unbelievable. Like it's an unbelievable stat because a lot of races were decided at the US, like a lot of championships were decided at the USGP, but that meant that the leader never won here.
Yeah, they did enough to win, not from first. They could win it from not first.
That's right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. All right.
Oh, interesting. So there was a chicane added to the track. Interesting. This seems to be another theme of 75. A suggestion, I think, did I read this right? A suggestion from Scheckter. So was it named after Scheckter? Yeah. But the chicane was suggested after Severt's fatal accident in 73. So I don't know if a driver wants a chicane named after him, especially when they're active. I don't know. Yeah,
exactly.
You want a straight named after you, not a chicane. Because a chicane is a negative, not a positive, a deterrent. No. Yeah.
What about the Senna? What else is the Senna S's? Is that named after Senna? But
that was like not when they were active drivers.
Not when they were driving. Is there anything else? There's no other chicane named after. There's a Hamilton Straight, isn't there? Isn't there a Hamilton Straight?
A lot of them name the corners because the corners are like a reference point of the track. But a chicane is not a corner.
Yeah. No, it's not. It's a slowing down section of a race.
I just don't think let's put it this way. I don't think that chicane is on Schecter's driving resume.
No.
I got a chicane named after me. If a chicane was named after me, it would be on my resume.
Yeah. So, as a result, practice times were about 4 seconds slower here. So interesting that at Silverstone, the chicane increased lap times. Oh, no, that was
about the same. They were both 4 seconds,
about 4 seconds slower, yeah. So Lauda was quickest from the start as the drivers got accustomed to the new layout. Brambilla briefly registered the quickest time on the Friday session, just 1/100th of a second better than Lauda. What the hell?
Brambilla's still on form.
I reckon.
Yeah. He did win that race not long ago, but he didn't know it was his only win. So that was close because Lauda's engine developed a vibration. But when he used the spare car, he then went and beat Brambilla's time by almost a second.
Jeepers. On Saturday, it was Fittipaldi who briefly held pole at 1 minute 42.36, but Lauda answered his challenge as well, ending the discussion at 1 minute 42.003. So, took a lot of time out of Fittipaldi's time. Reutemann lined up third, Jarrier fourth, Andretti fifth, and Brambilla sixth.
And just a funny incident, on race day, Lella Lombardi's Williams suffered an electrical failure and her teammate, Jacques Lafitte, was unable to race after mistaking visor cleaning fluid for his eye drops. So, first of all, that must have hurt.
Yeah.
And as a result, Lella Lombardi tried to use Lafitte's car. I'm not sure if Lafitte's car was, a higher standard or had some, modifications that her car didn't have, but she couldn't fit in the car. So I don't know what that means. I don't know if that's a criticism of her or if, I don't know. It was just an unusual thing for them to say, I thought.
Yeah. Look, she looked, from what I saw, she was quite short. So maybe she didn't reach the pedals. Like I think Lafitte was a bit taller than her. There was quite a few tall drivers in this era. But yeah, that whole mistaking visor cleaning fluid sounds like something out of a Three Stooges movie.
It's ridiculous.
Gosh.
And the poor guy, I hope it didn't hurt too much. Yeah.
Yes. Gosh.
So at race start, Lauda led the field from the grid and through the new Schechter chicane. I almost thought, is that Schechter? No, it's a chicane.
Yeah.
Lauda was followed by Fittipaldi, Jarier, Brambilla, Reutemann and Andretti.
Pache and Depailler collided on lap 2, both retiring from the race as a result.
So the gap between Lauda's Ferrari and Fittipaldi's McLaren settled at about 1 second, and Mass, who had moved up to 6th, suddenly lost 3 places to Andretti, Hunt and Peterson when he accidentally switched off his engine on lap 3. So this is the Three Stooges part 2, right?
Yes. How can you switch off your engine while you're driving?
Yeah,
Wow.
it shows poor design. Why is that button anywhere near?
Exactly.
Why is it anywhere near the steering wheel in your hands?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes. But Peterson is not having a great year, that's for sure.
Yeah. In the meantime, up front, Lauda and Fittipaldi were racing nose to tail, but were some 5 seconds clear of Jarier in 3rd, while Reutemann had just moved into 4th at the expense of Brambilla. So we've still got Reutemann still sort of up there consistently.
He's up there.
Yeah.
Oh, but then his rear suspension broke, retiring him from the race. So the order behind Lauda and Fittipaldi now read Jarier, Hunt and Brambilla.
Yeah, the 2 front runners were coming up to lap Regazzoni, who was way down, having to pit after damaging his nose cone against Mass's rear wheel. Interestingly, Regazzoni jumped out of the way of Lauda's Ferrari, his teammate of course, but jumped right back on the racing line to prevent Fittipaldi from going through. And this is the funny thing, he did this for 6 laps, despite multiple blue flags being waved at him.
Teamwork makes the dream work, Louis. This is in direct contrast to Pache, acting ethically in that race where he moved aside to let his front runner,
his faster teammate through. Yeah,
and also other people went past him as well. And here we have Regazzoni deliberately standing in the way. So, but we've got to give him some credit. There was no radio asking him to do this. He just knew it had to be done. A bit like what was that guy's name in '64?
Baghetti. Your friend Baghetti.
Friend.
Yeah.
So,
but I mean, there was nothing to fight for here. There's no championship to fight for. It was all pride, just pride. Yeah,
it was funny.
Yeah, so 4 laps later, Fittipaldi was still stuck behind Regazzoni, shaking his fists and getting very angry at the Swiss driver. Eventually, or finally, the clerk of the course noticed and intervened by holding out a black flag to Regazzoni. But it was too late. Lauda had stretched a 1 second lead to about 10 seconds.
Regazzoni was brought into the pits for a warning on lap 24. Ferrari manager Luca Di Montezemolo, I think he's going to rival. Who was our favourite Ferrari manager, Luigi?
Oh, what's his name? Ugolini.
That guy. Ugolini.
Yeah.
Ugolini. I think he might rival Ugolini. He instructed Regazzoni to just continue with the race. And that turned into a massive argument between him and the stewards. So the team withdrew him from the race in protest after just 4 laps.
It's so funny. I mean, they'd won the championship. They could do anything they wanted for pride. But I was curious about when they said the black flag to go into the pits to give him a warning.
Yeah.
What like a verbal dressing down?
Were they going to
time-based warning?
I know.
Yeah,
that's
discussion.
What I didn't understand. So maybe, and so
this might be the first. This is the first drive-through penalty.
Yes,
the first drive-through penalty in Formula One history.
Yeah. I mean, it was a little bit too far for Regazzoni, what he did. 4 laps, that's ridiculous. And multiple blue flags. I mean, I think you can do it once or twice and say you missed the blue flag once or twice, but over 4 laps. Can you imagine how many blue flags would have been waved at him?
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. I mean, this is in the United States. It's not the Italian Grand Prix where they'd say, oh, this is all fine. No,
that's
this
right.
is in the US.
Italian. Well, the clerk of the course wouldn't have got involved in Italy, that's for sure.
No,
What do you
there'd be too
mean?
much danger. Safety
like
risk.
Race. Yeah.
Yeah. He's allowed to defend. He's allowed to do what he's, he's fighting for pride. Yeah.
Exactly.
It was a bit far, but
yeah. And really, for the Ferrari manager to start fighting with the stewards, I don't know that they had much of a leg to stand on. I mean, what are you going to say? Like, what's your point of argument?
There's no defense.
There's no defense.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it was dodgy, brothers. And what it means is not only this, but it also means Regazzoni can probably never be Fittipaldi's teammate, because I'm sure Fittipaldi's going to hold on to this. Do you know what I mean?
100%. Yeah.
So anyway, meanwhile, now that he got past Regazzoni, Fittipaldi was settling down to the task of making up the 12-second deficit. Now it's 12 seconds behind Lauda. And so while Fittipaldi pushed hard, Lauda pretty much had it under control, and he even extended his lead during the next 12 or so laps. So Lauda coasted home to a comfortable victory to break that record you talked about, Rosa.
Yes. So, there was a bit of foreshadowing. So Fittipaldi pulled out the fastest lap too. So he was pushing hard, but he still finished in second place, 5 seconds behind Lauda. So he got close. I mean, 12 seconds to 5 seconds. I don't know how many laps. Oh, it's 12 laps. I mean, that's pretty good. Meanwhile, there's a battle raging for third between Hunt, Mas, Peterson and Scheckter.
Yeah, so Mas overtook Hunt on lap 33, and with 9 laps to go, Peterson also passed Hunt, who was struggling with his gear selection and brake balance. Then 3 laps from the finish, Mas's brakes began to fade, so Peterson closed in on him. But then Peterson locked up his left front tyre under braking, which caused a flat spot on his tyre, and this slowed him down enough for Hunt to retake fourth on the last lap. So just a little bit of chopping and changing.
Yeah. So final placings then were Lauda first, Fittipaldi second, Mas third, Hunt fourth and Peterson fifth. And the first win for Ferrari at the US GP. And Lauda breaks the US Grand Prix curse, not allowed to win it if you're the champion, which he broke.
Now redundant. Yeah.
Yes, now redundant. Yeah, so just for the final standings for the people interested out there, Lauda wins the championship with 64.5 over Emerson Fittipaldi on 45, Reutemann third on 37, Hunt fourth on 33. So not a bad finish for Hunt. And in the constructors, Ferrari take out the championship with 72.5, Brabham second on 54, McLaren third on 53, just 1 point down. So interesting you say there, Louis, that you wouldn't go for Brabham.
I would join McLaren. I'd still join McLaren.
Yeah. And Hesketh fourth on 33.
Okay. So that's a wrap. We've had Niki Lauda, who coined the term. What was it?
Yeah,
the unbelievable year. Unbelievable year.
Yeah. So he actually referred, it did turn out to be a dominant season for Ferrari in the end. And the title did come from Lauda, who he himself referred to it often in interviews and throughout his career as the unbelievable year. So I can now see why, because they were nowhere at the start of that year.
Yeah, but it wasn't really an unbelievable year, because it was only unbelievable from race 6 onwards, sort of. Do you know what I mean? The first 5 races, it was anybody's year.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Even in those first 5 races, it wasn't Ferrari. I don't think
No, that's what I mean. That's what I'm saying. For him to call it the unbelievable year, I'm just saying maybe the unbelievable 3/4 of the season.
Okay.
Doesn't sound as good as a headline, does it?
Doesn't, no. I think he was going for maximum impact with his interviews.
Words.
Yeah. Yeah. So, the first 5 races didn't have a Ferrari win. So they were nowhere. They were nowhere in the first 5 races. 5th, 4th, 5th, 6th, retirements. So, Anyway, so I think it was a good, disappointing to see Lotus drop off substantially, not developing their car, as we said. Sad to see their downfall. But, it was an interesting year. I really enjoyed reviewing this year. and watching the footage as well. Like I said, those cars, they're like little go-karts.
They're really cool. Yeah.
And slipping and sliding all over the track. It's pretty awesome racing.
Yeah. And so my view is that it was a fascinating season. I see it broken into sort of two parts. Race 1 to 5 was 5 different winners. And then the rest of the season where pretty much Lauda, he sealed the championship with a 5-race streak where he won 4 races. And this really set him up for the rest to just bring it in home, and he still won more races as the race season ended. But I did feel like there was a lack of a consistent competitor with him, because initially it was Fittipaldi that was taking it to him. Like he won the first 1 or 2 races, if I recall. That's right, first and second. He won the
first, yeah.
And he came second in the second race. But there wasn't really a single driver that really took it to him. Do you know what I mean? Like Reutemann was in the background, you know?
Yeah.
And Fittipaldi faded a bit, and it didn't help about that leaving that race early. And also Regazzoni got the brunt of the reliability issues, which Lauda got in 74. So, you know, I guess, so in that regard, he didn't really have a rival, I think. It didn't feel like it to me. Do you sort of agree?
Are you taking away the magnitude of his win, Louis?
No. It was an impressive win. It was a really impressive win because by destroying the competitors, he eliminated it. And like Mike Lang said, despondent other teams.
Yeah,
that's what
you're right.
That was Lauda. That's Lauda's fault.
He didn't really have a rival that stepped up to his challenge in the year. He ended up winning pretty comfortably. Like he had like a 20-point lead throughout most of the second half of the season, and no one really challenged that. No one got close. So you're right. In a way, the other teams didn't really put up. And like if Brabham had managed their drivers a bit better between Pache and Reutemann, they might have been able to push one of them up a bit closer to challenge
pressure him. Yeah,
to pressure him.
But they didn't know that Pache kept being faster but retiring. So how could they keep giving it to Reutemann when Pache was ahead of him most of the time?
Exactly. So that kind of didn't work for them. And then Fittipaldi, he was there or thereabouts, but his car let him down a bit. So yeah, you're right. He didn't really, but it probably happened because he was so dominant, I think.
Yeah, that's right. I think exactly that. And I also want to acknowledge that I think this season was a little bit of a changing of the guard because you had a lot of drivers getting their first wins. Now, we know that a lot of them was their first and only wins. However, Hunt is not in that category, and he's obviously going to be someone we'll be keeping an eye on. It's because he's going to win more races. And so in that regard, it was an interesting transitional year where you have lots of new winners and a new era. So, but beautiful looking Ferrari car, dominant win by Lauda. Just a really, really good season to read about, especially the 5 different winners in the first 5 races. You had no idea what was coming at that point.
And looking at the vision, I miss the era of exploding tyres and tyre wear and slipping across the track and, you know, slipping around corners, almost rally driving-esque. I miss that. I miss, you know, everything. Now, if you slide out of a corner, it's like, oh, they've lost time. That's bad driving. He's lost time in that corner. Like, really? Like, I want some of that fun to return to Formula One, and it looks like they're really pushing the cars to the edge.
Yeah,
whereas now you kind of don't see that anymore.
You don't see the close following. Like these cars, because they were like semi go-karts, they could go right near each other. They weren't as aero compromised, and
that's right.
A lot more mechanical grip.
If everyone is sliding through corners and slipping and locking into corners, it's the same for everyone. Whereas now it doesn't happen like that. If you're doing that, you're a bad driver or you got a bad setup. So, yeah,
interesting.
I know.
Okay.
And you wanted to give special credit to Brambilla, Louis.
Yeah, just because he won the race, crashing right during the celebration. That doesn't happen too often. It's a very human thing to do.
Yes,
It's like you see people in Tour de France, they're riding their bikes and they put their hands up in the air when they've won the yellow jersey or whatever. Yeah. You don't see them flying off their bikes. So he took his hands off the steering. He took his hands off the steering wheel, and that's what makes it really funny. It's the sort of thing I would possibly do if I won a race. So yeah, I like that. Yeah.
All right. Well, 76 next, Louis. Now, a lot of people will know about 76. Even if they don't realise it was 76, they'll know what happens in 76 as a big
Yes.
event in Formula One.
And if you have not watched the movie called Rush,
Yes.
which was released in the late 2020s.
2020s, yep. I might have to watch it again. You need
to watch the Rush movie before you listen to our podcast. It'll add more flavor to the story.
Yeah.
Yeah. But can Ferrari go back to back? Can they continue this domination? That's the question, isn't it?
That is the question. I'm going to keep my fingers crossed. And yeah, we'll be back for the TP Championship. We'll see whether we crown the same driver as the People's Champion.
I suspect probably. Let's see.
All right. Okay. See you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.